As ladies, how many of us have ever seen this? And as men, do we know what this is? This is actually cervical mucus, and this is actually sperm cells. Now, on today's discussion, we'll be talking more about cervical mucus, a little bit about sperm cells. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of our discussion. On today's discussion, we'll be looking at those major factors you should consider while trying to conceive. And for today, we are paying our attention to the cervical mucus. Remember, we have already discussed on the menstrual cycle, how important it is, about how you should understand your menstrual cycle, when you ovulate, and your fertile window as well. Not forgetting the length of your menstrual cycle. But for today, we are looking at your cervical mucus, which cervical mucus is good for you if you're trying to conceive, and which is also good for you if you don't want to conceive. If you're joining us for the very first time, please don't forget to hit the red subscribe button and click notification. Thank you very much. So your cervical mucus is actually what you see when you dip in your finger into your genitals. Now, a cervical mucus actually comes in various textures depending on your fertility, depending on the state of your fertility. So you are going to see how the various textures of your cervical mucus could determine if you can conceive. And if you want a baby boy or a baby girl, your cervical mucus can also help you do that. Let us move straight to the various types of cervical mucus. This is the very first type. This type is what we call sticky cervical mucus. This type of cervical mucus, generally, you see it immediately after your menstruation. And if you see it immediately after your menstruation, it therefore means that you are not fertile. Okay? But it will also depend on the length of your cycle, because for people with very short cycle, this cervical mucus will hardly come out, because if you still come out and you have a menstrual cycle of 21 days, then you're fertile. But we are talking principally for people with 27, 28, 29, 30-day cycle. If you have a 30-day cycle, this description will be best for you. So this cervical mucus will tell you that you are not fertile. If you look at it, it is sticky. It will be difficult for sperm cell to pass through it. It will be difficult for these guys here to pass through it. Okay. The very next cervical mucus. But now understand that this sticky cervical mucus, if you don't want to conceive, this is the best there. If you don't want to conceive, this sticky cervical mucus, once you see it, then it's the best time for you to meet with your partner. The next is actually creamy cervical mucus. For creamy cervical mucus, this is the type of cervical mucus you see. If you look at it, it's cream-like. This is also not good if you want to conceive. But if you don't want to conceive, this is best. Okay, this is also good. So if you don't want to conceive, then you can go ahead and meet. But if you want to conceive, this is not also good, because if you look at it, it is milk-like and cream-like. So it makes it difficult for sperm cell to also swim and move through it. The next is watery. Watery cervical mucus is actually a good cervical mucus because it's easier for sperm cell to move through it. You see, sperm cell can easily swim in, move from one end to another if it is watery, because there is a space for them to move through it. This cervical mucus tells you that ovulation is already around. So if you want to conceive, this is a cervical mucus that you should be looking at. If you don't want to conceive, then please don't try when you see your cervical mucus being watery. The next, which is the best, is what we call the egg white cervical mucus. This is the best. This tells you that you are at ovulation. This tells you that the egg has been released. Remember, ovulation means the egg has been released, and once the egg has been released, it therefore means sperm cell can easily fertilize it. So if you've been trying to conceive, maybe you really want something like a baby boy, then at ovulation is best, because we expect the white sperm cells, which are fast. Remember, the white sperm cells are sperm cells that are fast. That's why we said if you want a baby boy, then you meet at ovulation, because the sperm cell, they will just release and they can easily fertilize the egg, which will be X chromosome. Because for a male to be formed, for you to have a baby boy, you need the Y and the X. So at ovulation is actually the best time for you to do that. And looking at this cervical mucus, this will be the best for you if you want a baby boy. If you want a baby girl, it will be much more earlier when you have what? The watery cervical mucus. Because watery cervical mucus means that ovulation will take place in about 2 or 3 days time. If you want a baby girl, then the watery cervical mucus can easily help you do that. But remember, God is the finest biologist. So with God being the finest biologist, no matter what we do, we still know that God is actually the supreme, and He will be the one to decide if you're having a baby boy or baby girl. But you have to do your own as humans. So looking at all of this, starting from sticky, creamy, watery, and the egg white cervical mucus, it gives you a better clue of how your fertility will look like if you want to conceive or if you don't want to conceive. If you've been trying to conceive and it's not going, please don't forget to pay attention to this cervical mucus. It's going to help you a lot. Thank you very much for following. If you consider our material helpful, please share to family members, share to friends. Thank you so much for watching this article. We really do appreciate. We are Check Your Health and Maintain Your Wealth. Here we discuss reproductive health and social health on this channel. If you are someone who loves any article on reproductive health and social health, then this channel is for you. If you have friends, family members who will need information on reproductive health and social health, then this channel is for them as well. Please don't forget to subscribe. If not subscribed, don't forget to recommend our channel. Check Your Health and Maintain Your Wealth to friends, family members, and well-wishers. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Do have a wonderful time. Thank you.